Well, good Thursday morning. Welcome back. You're watching the Kaiser Report. I'm John, coming to you today with a few tidbits of news that are happening in and around the world and our country today. We know that we're all facing this election and we are all being lied to on a daily basis, but here's some things that come out on the New York Post this morning that was sent to me by one of our followers, and they have in New York City expended over $5 million to date on dealing with the illegal immigrants that are housed in that city right now, and most of them not working. And it's on the rise, folks. It's not going to stop at the $5 million. And this is your taxpayer money. If you live in New York and you're paying taxes in New York, guess where it's going? It isn't going to lower your grocery prices by any stretch of the means. And no matter what they came out with today to prop up the stock market with false reports on both how great the economy is doing because consumer spending is up. Well, of course, consumer spending is up because everything is costing 18 to 25% more. And when you go to the store today to buy anything, you are paying increased prices due to the fact of the inflation being out of control under this administration, who is now asking you to have another term at controlling your prices and your border, because they've done such a wonderful job there, haven't they?
What?
I'm going to call this broadcast today Chasing the Embers of Our Burning Democracy and Republic. And that's what we're doing. We're crisscrossing the nation, bringing out the fact that what a great job Kamala has done. And don't let her fool you. She's hand in hand with Joe Biden, who today comes out and says that he wants to institute an executive order forcing the entire nation to go into rent control. How well has that worked out in New York City, folks? Research it, look at it. It's part of the clown show that we call the political Truman Show that we're all living through today. And it's laughable to some of us because we can see what is going on in the minds of these people that want to stay in power and continue to do these things. Do not ever forget that the deciding, tie-breaking vote on all of these spending bills that went through Congress and was stymied for quite a while was tie-broken by Kamala Harris sitting as VP and getting these bills shoved through. These are bills that directly impacted our economy. Make no mistake about that. This is not someone that needs to be in there for 4 more years of continuing her ideals and her policies that put us in the mess we're sit in now. Let's reverse back to the very beginning of all this when we decided to leave Afghanistan on an overnight basis. Yesterday, the Taliban had a very large parade. And in that parade, they showed off all of the billions of dollars of equipment and helicopters that were left there in a parade of our armaments given to them by Joe Biden and his administration. Do you want to continue that? Do you want to start now arming Iran and every other enemy we have in the world today? And the Apache helicopters flying over the top of the parade as they goose-step their way down whatever Main Street the imams were looking on.
What the hell?
In the Ayatollah Asahola in charge there is grinning like a briar-eating jackass. Mm-hmm. How embarrassing to the world is that? Billions of dollars of war equipment given to them. They're parading it now in your face. Look what we have. Thanks, Joe, for giving that to them. It's incredible at the waste of money that this republic and this administration has been able to blow between the Ukraine war, Afghanistan, and pure silly decisions on where and what programs our tax dollars have been attributed to. You cannot make this thing up. It's happened. It's there for you to see, and part and parcel to every bad decision made by this administration, Kamala Harris was part of. She can say that she no longer thinks that fracking needs to be done away with. She can say she had nothing to do with the border. She can lie straight-faced on a campaign trail zipping around, but there is no mention of her future policies and how she will implementate them, because she doesn't do interviews. And when she does do interviews, the questions are sent to her ahead of time, and they rewrite them and then give them the answer. And this is why Acosta is so upset that he can't get his interview to help her along in her campaign. MSDNC wants to have a sit-down interview with her, but she won't even do that. And we know that if you asked Rachel Maddow to meet her in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night for an interview, she would say, "What flight do I take to get there?" There's a reason she's not answering questions. And even with softball stuff like with MSDNC, she can give them the questions that she wants ahead of time, and they'll give her the answers to them.
Aha! Got him!
We know this. We've seen this. And we know what it is that they pull to get this to happen. We're chasing the embers of what's left of our republic right now. And then if you look at, the hope that I had was that someone would start to interview RFK Jr. or put him into one of these debates. And then what happens the other night? He goes on to Sean Hannity's show. And what I heard him say there basically made me stop thinking that he should be part of this whole thing, because Buddy basically said is that he's there to take votes away from one side and not the other. And guess which side he wants to take the votes away from? The side that is out answering the questions, telling people what the policy will be, and how we're going to achieve those policies, and he wants to take votes from that side.
That stinks.
Why? I'll tell you why. it's become evident that you can leave the Democratic Party, but the Democratic Party never leaves you. He's carrying the Democratic torch into a more lit room than the dark room that Kamala works in. I don't know where we're going to go in this election. It is really up in the air right now, but I would tend to go on the side that has the answers and the solutions to the problems that we know are the problems. Let's go through those one by one. The most important problem we have in this country now for people like you and me and people who have to raise families, go to work every day, come home, feed your family, do the grocery shopping, buy the necessary means, and pay your mortgage. The economy. It's the economy, stupid. That's number one. Number two used to be number one in my mind, but I'm kind of changing right now in my thought processes. Number two is the border. It has to be fixed. We can no longer let thousands of people every day through the border. Some are talking to the agents as they come through, given a piece of paper with a court date 6 years away, and let into the country. And then we have the thousands that come around the long way, swim across the river, and get in undetected. That's frightening. Also, what is frightening is that we have not vetted a lot of these people that are being charged with the crimes that are going on, and those people need to be deported and deported immediately. ICE needs to do their job, not be done away with, as one candidate has said many times over. She would like to eliminate ICE because she looks at ICE, and this is out of her mouth, as being akin to the KKK. What a stupid statement to come out of somebody that is supposed to be so electable. We have, well, let's just take a situation that happened yesterday. Let's just say that you live in New York City or the surrounding area, and you just got through working all day, and you decide to meet either your friends or your family out for a nice dinner and maybe some drinks after work. So you go to an upscale restaurant where you're having a meal, or you're at the bar having a cocktail, and then you have protesters break through the door, disrupt everything, and actually get violent with not only the patrons of the restaurant, but with the police. That happened in New York yesterday. And make no mistake about it, there were arrests made, but I would highly doubt that A.G. Bragg will bring any charges to them, because he's busy trying to convince Judge Merchan how they're going to get Trump. The lawlessness in our major cities right now is at an all-time high. They can come out in Chicago, and the police chief can sit on Fox and all of the other news channels and tell everybody how cleaned up the city is and how the crime rate went down and the murder rate went down, because they're worried about the DNC convention coming there on Monday next, which ought to be amusing in itself. And I think these Palestinian protesters that are all over the college campuses and threatening to do it again and breaking into major restaurants in New York and destroying the business and destroying the people that are there for no reason at all. And these people are not Palestinians. Have nothing to do with Palestine, and some of them are leftover protesters from the Vietnam era, old people, and then paid people that are being put in there. And on the college campuses, in case you didn't know that or not aware of that, were not students there. Some of them were paid to be there, or they're agitators sent in by some group on the outside, whether it's Antifa, whether it's the DNC, RNC, you name it, somebody's hired these people to do this. This anti-Israel deal is over with. Stop it. It's not needed, and it's silly that you're running around with a flag of another country while you're a citizen of this country. Or maybe you're not a citizen. Maybe it's some of these people that got through the border that we don't know about. They don't even understand, in some cases, what they're protesting for. They don't understand what the Palestinian plight really is. They don't understand what the Israeli war is about, because they deny that October 7th ever happened. These are the same type of people that have been trained to do these protests and given misinformation and hyped up, and God only knows who's supporting this, but I have a pretty good idea that if you look deep enough into it, you'll find somebody at BlackRock and Soros's organizations and the Tide organization that are tied in with this, no pun intended. It's a travesty what's gone on in the major cities in the United States. And then we have early voting coming up in a very near future, and how many protests will be taking place outside polling stations. What if they show up in Chicago and try to get into the convention with this Palestinian anti-Israel deal? Israel is a sovereign nation that has every right under the sun to defend their country and their citizenry, the same as we would here. To protest for something you don't understand or have any inkling or any education toward what you're protesting for is just another part of the comedy act that is 2024 in the U.S. of A. And make no mistake, someone is funding this. These people, if you look at the cut of their jib, have no means of doing what they're doing unless somebody is buying the things for them, providing the transportation, and whipping up their ideals into their heads.
Nip it in the bud.
So which brings us back to what the left side is going out and promoting right now, that Kamala has completely changed. Everything that she stood for, she has reversed her mind on and is not going to go along with that. If you believe that for 1 minute, I have a bridge in Brooklyn I'd like to sell you. Everybody on the Donald Trump hate train on the left-hand side and on the left media, and I call it the left media because that's all they cater to. If you're on the right, you're a deplorable, you're a menace to society and everything else that they would like to let you believe. And if, God forbid, you wear a red hat that says MAGA on it, you're earmarked as a domestic terrorist. But no one wearing a red MAGA hat got on a roof and tried to assassinate a past president that is running right now for the presidential election in 2024.
Oh, snap.
That's another thing that has been covered up on top of being covered up. Now it's coming out that, it's Iran that's behind this. It's all Iran now. They had nothing to do with it on the Democratic side. No. They had nothing to do with it at the three-letter agencies or the Secret Service. Hush that all up. Get that back behind the curtain before somebody sees the truth. That's what we put up with mainstream legacy media today. And I can name them all again, including Fox in some cases. But you have to go onto a trusted area of YouTube, Rumble, Reddit, Truth Social to find out what's really happening anymore. Yes, there are Senate hearings going on and committee hearings going on about all these things. But if you watch them, it's dizzying. The intellect there is dizzying. You get no answers from these people, especially if you really want a comedy show. Watch Mayorkas answer questions. Or Ray. Oh my God, they have more ways of saying nothing with verbiage that is more than word salad. It's almost amusing, never answering a question directly. These are the people that are in charge of the border and the safety of you and me in these United States.
That's not right.
How do you feel about that? We need a cleaning and a flushing of this entire swamp. And it's going to start if we're smart enough, if you and I are smart enough in November to look at the down ballots and get rid of the dead wood that sits in our Congress and our Senate today that is up for election now, then if that does not happen, it's our fault. You know who can lose in this election? It isn't anybody that you see on TV and these elites. And if you believe for 1 second that Kamala Harris, that's worth $14 million, cares one iota about what you pay for a loaf of bread, you're sadly mistaken. Or if she even knows what a quart of milk costs. It's unbelievable what we see on a daily basis coming out of legacy media to convince you otherwise that what you have seen for 3.5 years, 4 years, from Kamala Harris is any different today than it has been of what you have witnessed in her tenure as vice president. And she's been by Joe's side on every mistake that he has made. And she cast the deciding votes on spending bills that were outrageous as vice president. So don't for a minute let mainstream media convince you that she's totally changed now. She got new pantsuits. So she's changed. There's a history out there for both candidates that are in the lead right now. There's history out there for the independent candidate of RFK Jr., and you need to look at these histories and decide what's good. RFK has some great points to make when it comes to going after pharmaceutical companies and people like Archer Daniels Midland and these growers right now that are twisting the food industry around. And there's where his expertise lies. He's done well against Monsanto. Does he have policies for closing the border? No. If he does, he hasn't spoken about them. Does he have policies to fix the economy? If he does, we haven't heard them. And does he have policies for fixing the budget in the United States today and stop the spending? If he does, we don't know it. You can apply all of the above to Kamala Harris as well. You hear no policy. No one is sitting down with her asking her, how do you fix this? What's your policy on this? What's your policy on that? We don't hear it. And I'll tell you why you don't hear it from her. She doesn't have any. Her policies are set in stone, and they have been through her Senate experience and as Vice President of the United States. They are not going to change one bit if you elect her as President of the United States. It will continue on, and we will be in a full-blown recession before long. They came out with numbers today that are pie-in-the-sky stuff that will be all redacted and reassessed in 2 months from now. They say unemployment is down. Well, unemployment is down because they're not paying out dividends after a certain point of time that you're on unemployment insurance. It runs out, so those numbers come down. Adding new unemployment figures is going to be difficult to gauge because after COVID, many people in the workforce went from full-time employment to part-time employment, and it affects how you can qualify for unemployment. We're not stupid. We know this. But this is something that they're putting out because it's an election time and they want you to believe that what their policies are working. Their policies are what caused this problem. Pure and simple. It's a shell game. And right now, if you're using this stock market ups and downs to plan your retirement or what you're going to do in your 401ks that you're borrowing from right now, don't forget, there is a great amount of the population of the citizens of this country that are feeding themselves by credit card right now, which means the credit card debt, which is easily identifiable, is at an all-time high. And default on that is looming unless something in the economy changes and someone gets in office that will fix the problems that exist right now and get people back to work, back to full-time employment, not part-time employment, and take credit for seeing, we have all these new jobs. New jobs at what? How many of them are part-time? And then let's not lose sight of the fact that we have had massive layoffs in this country by corporations such as Federal Express, UPS, Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's. Layoffs after layoffs after layoffs, or their people have been cut down in hours and put back as part-time employment, which adds another job so they can hang their hat on and tell you that they're creating employment. Joe Biden couldn't create employment if it smacked him in the face. These people have been on the government's tit all their life. These are career politicians that care nothing about you and get rich not caring about you. You have to wake up and realize what's going on. It's no longer funny to put up with somebody that may have made a couple of mistakes, but when you continue to make the same mistakes over and over again, expecting a different outcome, or telling you that there's going to be a different outcome, is insanity. But yet, mainstream media tells you, oh, what they're saying is fine. Yeah, it's fine, all right. Until you go to the grocery store, put gas in your car, pay your mortgage, and not default on car loans and things of that nature that are going on right now. They don't report on those things. They don't report on the credit card debt that is looming as a bomb waiting to go off on our economy. We're facing 1929 all over again for various different reasons, but it's coming. If this continues, if this administration continues, and if you elect Kamala Harris, you're re-electing this administration, sans the dementia. And now he wants to do rent control across the nation. You can't make this stuff up. Who the heck is advising him? And he's going to use these last 5 months to shove stuff like that down our throat. And Schumer will go right along with it. Interesting that Susan Rice came out and said what she said. I guess it was CNN that interviewed her. Very interesting. They will put a knife in their back of their colleagues on a regular basis, it looks like. Not that the Democrats are any worse than the Republicans can be, but in this situation, we have somebody on the Republican side that at least will tell you what the policy is and how to achieve it. We're not getting any of that from the other side, which makes it very hard to make a decision. I only can think in my mind that they've already figured out how they're going to, or they already have this thing in the bag, they think. That happened in 2016 with Hillary, and she never got over it, and it may happen again if they're not very careful. But this woman running around in a too large pantsuit is not the answer to saving this republic or putting the fires out that are burning in this republic right now. And for us to chase embers because MSNBC tells you to chase it or believe it, so that ember doesn't ignite another fire. We have fires all over this country. Every major city in this country is suffering financially, and the burden of these 20 million migrants that are in this country are starting to wear down our systems. Is it designed to do that? Did someone design it to be this way? We have to wonder. But the only way we can stop it, if it is designed to do this, is to put somebody in there that will stop it. And so far we have two people running against one with the answers, and these two people will not tell you what their policy is. Are they part of it? You can take a Democrat out of the party, but you cannot take the party out of the Democrat. Look what they have done to the black communities with this immigration problem. And their answer, if you listen to what they really say to you, is we can't rely on the black vote anymore that we used to have in the bag, so we're going to bring in immigrants and get them to vote, and then we don't need the blacks anymore. That's pretty much what they're telling you. If you stop and listen long enough to people that will tell you this all day long on this platform and other platforms, but you'll never hear it from mainstream media.
That sucks.
Because they're in the bag and told how to handle it and who the pharmaceutical companies and the industrial military complex want in office. Because there is the advertising dollars that keep these networks on the air. Like I say, follow the money. Enough. I hate to have to bring rants like this out, but when you start to read what's going on and start to research the news and sift through the lies, it's disheartening. But we have to pray every day. We have to pray for guidance. We have to pray that Satan hasn't gotten too strong of a foothold in our beautiful country. It's something else when you watch billions of dollars of military equipment on parade supporting the Taliban and know that this administration is responsible for giving them the keys. Remember that when Kamala asked you for a vote, because she was part and parcel to it. It's Thursday. As I say all the time, we have a sponsor here going into the weekend. It would be a good time to call Lazy J Farms and Butcher Shop and get what you need for your barbecue for this weekend. And if you're out of state and you're not close to where they're located, they will ship it to your door if you call. There can be found on Facebook. Just look up Lazy J Farms and Butcher Shop, and they will pop up, and you can talk directly to them. They have a phone number on that website, and if you call, ask for Butch. Tell Butch what you want in special cuts. He'll cut a steak to your thickness that you like, or they have great pork products. Their chicken is the best chicken I've ever tasted. Moist, tender, beautiful chicken. And their eggs and cheese are just as good. And their pork products, their ribs, oh my God, they are delicious. So call up Butch, tell him that Kaiser sent you, and place your order. And you'll have great meats for the weekend barbecue. I'm looking forward to a nice weekend here. Kaiser and I will be out and about a few places this weekend, and hopefully we'll have good weather. And we'll have a camera out with us, and we'll get you some shots from around the area here. And shout out to all of the people that send me comments on a daily basis, and God bless you. And we're going to be running a contest here on the comments section before too long for a Kaiser Report hat to be sent to you. So when you see the email address come under the broadcast here occasionally, write it down and send me an email if you'd like to have a hat. We're going to look at your ideas of what's going on with this election and what you think should be done by each candidate to make your life better, and you could win a Kaiser Report hat here. So with that, I'm going to let you go today and wish you all a very happy Thursday. It's a lot to process coming at us very fast, and it's a late in time for someone to just leave and resign from the fact that they were running for president and then just decided to do this because Pelosi didn't want him there, and his buddy Obama got him to resign from the race. So that means we have somebody for the next 5 months that is still president but doesn't realize that he is president because he's absent without leave at most times. But he will be out and about with Kamala in Maryland, I'm told either today or tomorrow, which should be really interesting because he probably hates her now as much as he hates Obama and Pelosi. He's an angry man. He's a disappointed man. I don't agree with the way they did it to him. I'm no fan of Joe Biden, but my God, why would you treat somebody that way? But the destruction of this country started with Obama, and he sat by Obama's side through those years. We had a disruptor mess with that, but then the Joe Biden, if you stop and remember back to when he was in the primaries with Klobuchar and all of the other ones, and including his vice president, Kamala Harris, who accused him of being a racist, it boggled my mind at the time that they ended up with him with the most votes, and that had to be rigged. And it had to be rigged from the outside, but it's amazing because he had some fairly decent minds on that stage with him that did not make it. Who was the lowest and the first to drop out? Kamala Harris. Got the lowest numbers. And now, what do we have? But the continuing of Obama's fundamental destruction of this country regained popularity again with the left when Biden got into this position that he's in now. Whether or not it was rigged, I personally think that it was, completely rigged. But that's my thoughts and my thoughts only. But you think what you want, but look at the past history of on the left side right now from the last 3.5 years or more and decide for yourself, is this what we want to watch this country fall into a third world country in our lifetime? No, not me. I don't want to do that. But God bless you all. And remember, take a moment of silence and close your eyes, reflect, meditate, say a prayer, and ask God for help because we're going to need it more now than ever. And do not turn your back on the teachings of Jesus Christ, and pray to God every day and his Son that we make the right decisions. So with that, I'm going to say have a great Thursday, rest of Thursday. We'll see you here on the Kaiser Report tomorrow morning, Friday morning. And God bless you all. Bye-bye now.